Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another Thesis Talk. In today's Thesis Talk, we are going to talk with someone who has just finished their thesis and would like to talk about it. Please give it up for Berber Peters! Thank you so much, Berber, for joining us. So first off, given the current quarantine and the coronavirus pandemic, how are you?
Actually, I'm quite good. I'm kind of enjoying the quarantine. I'm enjoying myself quite well, and I'm just very happy that I have nice roommates these days. So I'm fine.
Awesome. It's great to see that you're enjoying yourself in these trying times. So let's get down to the questions, shall we? Alrighty. First question. What was your thesis topic about?
It was about gangster movies. In general, that was the topic. And then I compared American Gangster from 2007 with two classical gangsters, The Godfather and Scarface from the 70s, 80s. And my main focus was on the protagonist and how the protagonist was portrayed as more like a family and businessman rather than a criminal. So that was my topic.
Would you perhaps care to explain what American Gangster is about?
American Gangster is a film about Frank Lucas, who is already in the drug industry, and as his boss and his big example in life dies, he takes over the whole business, and then you see his growth from just someone in the whole circle to the end boss of the whole drug industry in America, and what it does to him and his family, and that's the general storyline actually.
Would you mind telling us when you began writing your thesis?
I started in September, but then I didn't start right away with actually writing. The first few weeks was only doing research and find a specific topic and a specific question. And then in January I was done. So around 4 months I worked on it.
Walk us through the thinking process and what kind of made you decide to choose American Gangster as your topic? You know, I know that you have a lot of interest in other gangster films, such as The Godfather. So, why American Gangster?
My strategy was mostly choosing a subject I was interested in, because you have to work on it for a couple of months. And I don't think that's possible to keep doing and stay motivated if you don't like your topic. So I decided to pick something that I really liked. So that was my first step.
I mean, it's interesting how you talk about selecting something as a topic, because a lot of people often get stuck trying to pick a topic. They have something here and there, but over time they just the interest sort of diffuses. So what would you say is a good indicator that this is a subject that you'll enjoy and you'll find the process worthwhile?
I think everyone has those interests already. And you don't have to find something new. You just have to pick something that you already are interested in. If you look back on your whole study career, just look at what assignments you did and what topics you choose on that assignments. And I think maybe there you can already find like a red line through your study career and find a topic or something that you are interested in, like personally in your spare time. I think it's already there. You just have to find it and then just go for it.
So if I'm getting this right, is this process perhaps more of a culmination of your previous essays and your previous interests, and in many ways the thesis that you're creating is specifically what interests you would like to talk about?
Yeah, and we're media students, most of us are at least. So I think we're we're confronting ourselves with media every day. So just pick a topic that you are personally interested in. Is not that hard because you can do anything. If you love the Kardashians, just pick the Kardashians. That's also possible. Yeah, you can literally do everything.
Yeah. So anyway, moving on to the next question. Were you perhaps scared with the idea of writing the thesis, and if were there any parts where you were a little bit nervous about, or were you just completely cool as a cucumber, no problem whatsoever?
Yes, I was scared because I already knew fellow students that had to write their thesis before me, obviously, and I noticed that in those periods I never saw them on parties or at borrels again anymore, which makes kind of sense because your thesis is the big last project of your studies. So that was kind of scaring me, but in the end it was not as bad as I expected. It's just another paper but bigger.
Yeah, I mean, because I feel a lot of people, I guess, going into it, they always like to picture it as the final thesis or the big one, and because of that they often get very nervous about it. It's like, oh, I need to write something good. If it's not something that's going to match the standards, then it's just gonna fall apart.
And that's not true at all. Like, my teacher made that very clear to us. It's just keep in mind that it's your bachelor thesis. You don't have to change the world. You just have to show that you can do a legit research. So go for that, do something you like, and then you'll be fine.
So obviously you've discussed this previously, but just to clarify again, what was your topic and what was your research question?
My research question was, in which way is Frank Lucas in American Gangster portrayed as a sympathetic business and family man rather than a criminal? And to what extent does this correspond to the way in which the classical gangsters from the 70s and 80s were portrayed?
By any chance, why did you say, choose that sort of topic? I know you mentioned earlier about it being related in some way to The Godfather. Was that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So, was it this interest in, say, gangster films that perhaps you may have had that, sort of made you want to sort of pick this topic?
Yes. That, like, first of all, I have a love for gangster films, so I thought, okay, that's gonna be my general topic. And then while I was doing research into gangster films, I noticed that recent gangster films don't have one protagonist, one main gangster that you follow in his life and his growth and his fall. And then I thought, oh, why is that? And is that even true? Or are the films just made in another way so I don't recognize those characters anymore? And then there was my question. Actually, that was just something that I was honestly interested in. I was wondering, oh, is that true? How does it work? And then I just had to specify it. So yeah.
I guess this is the sort of the big old question, but after 4 whole months of just going through the same research topic over and over and over and over and again, just over and over and over again, do you get tired of it, or does it just make you more and more interested in the topic? Does it lead you down a rabbit hole, or are you just like, I don't want to be part of any of it anymore?
I can imagine that it makes you tired of the topic, but with me that was not the case at all. I still love the movies. I still want to watch them, so I think I'm lucky.
So perhaps it's by doing the thesis on, I guess, American Gangster and the gangster movie genre in general, perhaps you may have gained a better appreciation of the film style and the director's choices and the characters and whatnot, perhaps?
Yeah, for sure. But I think I can still look at gangster films and just enjoy them without going too far into character analysis.
Anyway, so I guess this is a very sort of subjective question, but Are you happy with your thesis?
Yes, but mostly I'm happy that I am proud of it. Um, yeah, I can say I'm content with the end result.
In terms of I guess, again, this goes back to the earlier question of how people put so much stress and emphasis on this being a final essay. At the end of the day, like, what do you personally think is more important? Say the final number or the process of going through I guess, the journey?
I think both, because you put a lot of work and effort in your process.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's more than fair that you want to be rewarded for that as well.
Yeah.
But in the end, if you just pass it, that's all you need most of the times. But I think it's nice that if you put so much effort in it, you get a reward with a high grade.
Yeah. But I mean, obviously, I'm certain you put a ton of hard work into it, and you got such a wonderful grade. So congratulations.
Thank you.
I feel like I'm the only one clapping, but I do feel like in the actual clip, when people watch it, they'll clap with you. In fact, I'll say this now: if you're at this point of the video, clap! Woo!
Oh, thanks.
There'll be more clapping sounds later when more people start watching.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Anyway, I guess the next question is, you earlier on, you already gave us sort of your research question. Did you by any chance have change your research question as the process went on, or did you just sort of stick to the one you had and just sort of went with it?
I certainly changed my question. My question kept on changing through my whole process. I think even in the last few weeks, I still changed a few details because I had to change a few details to make sure that my question and my research did align. So it's you have like certain clear steps and a schedule of what you have to do and where you have to start, when you have to do it. But in the end, it keeps a fluid process. So you can change it whenever you like during that process.
Yeah, because I feel it just gives it a little bit more of, I guess you could say it's wiggle room. It just means that it offers you the opportunity. If you feel you shouldn't be too tightly confined by the question that you give originally,
because then you're gonna stress out about that, but it's not necessary because there is still room for change. So just start with a question, do your research, change a bit of your question, specify your research so you can change your question again, and then eventually you will have your thesis.
I guess one of the most important skills, perhaps, when writing a thesis is to be flexible. To be able to sort of work around any challenges or obstacles you may encounter, and to fix the solutions. Devise solutions and solve these problems. Because that's what helps us grow. That's what helps us improve, and that's certainly what's going to help people improve on their essay, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah, that's completely true.
Mm-hmm. The moment when you felt like your question was just right, I'm gonna guess, was it the moment you pressed the submit button?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm. I mean, no, it's I guess until you press that submit button and then until that deadline passes, at least this is with me, I still keep thinking back to going back, like, oh my god, maybe I should change this before the deadline, or maybe I should add something here or make a couple of changes there. Do you ever get that sort of feeling when you submit it, like just to go back and make that little change in a thing or two?
Yeah, for sure. But then you have to, what helped me was to tell myself there's also a moment for a reset. So
there's that to fall back to.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then when you take off the pressure of yourself, you make better work, at least in my opinion, and in my case that's true. So I took the pressure of myself by thinking, okay, if it's not good enough, there's still a resit. So just go with what you feel right now, and then in the end you can always change it. Just take the pressure off.
I was wondering if you could perhaps provide some insight as to what exactly the reset is like if, say someone does end up heading into the reset stage.
I think you can only take a resit if you don't pass. So if you really want a high grade, you should either already have a high grade or really mess it up and then during the resit make it perfect.
That's a very smart strategy, actually.
Yeah. No, it's more like, for me it really helped to just take the pressure off to think about a resit. Like, that's always an option, okay, that's fine. Just for myself to take the pressure off, but in the end you can only take a resit if you don't have passed. So
yeah. So I guess another point of advice to give to students who are probably going to take the thesis next year would be, don't stress yourself out too much. Don't put so much pressure on yourself. I mean, if you want to put pressure on yourself, by all means. If you want to push yourself to get a really high grade, that's all you. But just know that there is a resit that you can fall back on. If if you're worried, if you're stressed out, there is a second chance, that you can, go and get that passing mark, I guess.
Yeah.
Or, intentionally.
Side note, I think it really helps to
do put pressure on yourself, but not to the extent that you are blocking your process. Then you should know, okay, I'm now putting too much pressure on myself and now I can't deliver anymore. So find a balance in that. Like, keep the pressure, but don't overdo it.
Definitely. Maybe go to an Off-Screen Borrel. There's always that. That's like right there. That's your perfect way to relax and hang out and have fun.
Exactly.
Go to an Off-Screen Monday night Borrel. That always helps. Maybe take a day off. Take a day off. Go and have some fun. Anyway, so part of I guess another question I'm sort of going to bring up is regarding the formatting, and that is the idea that since this year there is aside from writing your thesis, there's also the option of making a audiovisual essay. So I guess first off, could you perhaps explain, I guess, to the viewers what an audiovisual essay would be?
Well, I think most of the students have already at least seen an audiovisual essay or made it themselves. But it's actually quite simple. It's an essay. You're making an argument, but with audio and visuals. So you use the medium of video to and all the aspects that come with it to make your point.
Awesome. And I would like to ask, by any chance, did you select the audiovisual essay option?
Yes.
Okay. Boom! There we go. We have an expert. Awesome. So could you tell us a little bit more about what was your motivation behind picking it? Why did you choose to do the audiovisual essay as opposed to writing?
Well, I think for media students, making a video essay, that's what it also called, is very relevant because we are writing about media objects, and I think in some cases then it's way more easy to clarify and to make your point, your argument by using aspects of that media object. So in my case, if I want to make an argument about a movie, I can do way more with my argument and my points when I can show and let people listen to what I'm talking about.
I mean, I think part of the reason, if I were to pick the audiovisual essay, I guess my reason would be, it's probably because speaking for me is easier than typing for so long. You just speak it. I think it's a lot easier for, I guess, the workload, I guess.
Well, that's not true at all, to be honest.
Oh. Okay.
Because you have to write half of the amount of words, and besides that, make well, this was in my case at least, and besides that, make a video of at least 15 minutes. So what you do is your theory and your start and your conclusion, that's most of your writing part, and then your own research and your own argument, that's most of your video part. So you have to do both in the end. But then for me, it was also the case, what you already said. I'm better with making a point with editing. And I'm not really a reader, so I don't like to reread all my own things. I still had to do it, but then less. And then I could put a lot of time in my video to make my point.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's just a little mental note for all the people who are looking to take the audiovisual essay option because they don't want to write anything. You actually do have to write stuff, you know?
Yes.
But, anyway, I guess the next question is, back to the point of the audiovisual essay. Are you happy that you decided to go with it?
Yeah, for sure. I think with my topic and my question, in the end, this was the best way to make my argument.
Yeah. And I guess to one of the points you made, that you said this was what you thought was the best way. Could you maybe walk us through that a bit more? Like, say, in what case would you perhaps prefer to use writing a thesis, and in what way, in what sort of field would you perhaps make an audiovisual essay?
I think, especially because most of us are studying media, I think it can work for any topic that we pick within our studies. It's just your own preference. Are you really good with words, and is that where your what is it? Talents? Yeah, your strengths lay. Then go for that, and do your strengths lay more with the visual part and the putting your argument in a visual project, then go for that. So I would say it is possible with any topic that you pick. It's just where your own strengths lie.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the next question was originally going to be, what was your biggest struggle? But I'm going to sort of mix it up. I want to just sort of twist it up. I want to say, what was perhaps your favorite moment in the entire process? And what was the moment in the entire process where you were just, I can't take any more of this. I need some time. I need to just take some time off.
Good question. I think I'm gonna start with the least fun moment. I think that was the beginning, because then everything is still possible, and that's so much. So then I didn't know what to do, where to start, and then it became more fun while my subject and my question got more specified. And I think the most funnest part was while I was editing and I noticed, okay, this works. I'm actually making an argument here. So
yeah, the jigsaw pieces are finally coming together to make the whole puzzle. It's like, wow, I've done it. Just gonna keep it as it is. Just
yeah, exactly. But you can have that
Yeah.
while you're writing as well. Like if you're writing towards an argument and you think, yes, now everything comes together, that's the most fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I guess in a way, at the beginning of the process, you just got all of these jigsaw pieces all over the place, and you're just not quite sure how they're supposed to fit together.
And while you're puzzling, the trick is keep puzzling. Also, if you don't know where you're going, because in the end it will come together. Just go day by day, and then you have that moment.
Yeah, I mean, there's an old saying that goes, it's like, not all those who wander are lost. You know, if you keep,
Exactly.
if you're puzzled, but you keep thinking and you still have an objective in mind of where you want to go, you'll eventually reach the point, and maybe along the way, you'll learn something new. You'll find something new along the way that you can perhaps incorporate into it. I guess it's a fun maze, I guess.
Yeah.
That's a perfect description, I think. A fun maze.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So I guess now that everything's been done, and you could finally relax. I'm guessing. I didn't want to say just. I was like, oh wait. What if she still has an assessment? I don't want to bring that up. I don't want to bring the point up just yet. So looking back at the entire process, what would you have done differently?
I would have done more reading and research in the beginning, because my thought was I only want to read a text if I'm really going to use it. But in the beginning, you don't know what you will use and which text you are not going to use. But the reading and the doing the research really helps with the getting a broader knowledge of the theoretical framework, and really helps with, in the end, specify your question and your topic. So that was a mistake that I made. I thought I only want to read something if I'm really going to use it, but you don't know. So just start reading, and you'll come across things that you find interesting, and then maybe there's your question.
I mean, I guess it just sort of shows perhaps the importance of, say, maybe the theoretical framework and the initial building blocks of the writing process. It's like when you try to build, like when you build a tower, you kind of want to make sure that the base layer is good first before you start decorating the top, or else everything on the top is just going to start going to waste. So I guess that's kind of the same with the essay. You want to make sure you have a good foundation of research from a wide variety of sources, and then use that to sort of build up your argument, build up your sort of ideas. Would that be?
And help yourself that in the second part or the next part in the process, you have something to fall back on.
I guess this is the last question, and what sort of advice would you give to give to students who are going to be taking the thesis in the coming years? What are your do's and don'ts?
Well, I knew that this interview was coming, so I put some thought in it.
Woo!
And well, my first advice I already gave. Pick something that you are interested in. That's for sure. So that's one. Then I think also a very important thing is taking time for yourself to get into the right mindset. For example, by cleaning your room. Also, if you don't like working in your room and you rather write at a library or at a coffee shop, it's a big cliche, but a clean room really makes room in your mind also. So clean your room and make sure you're in the right mindset. Also a big cliche, but your phone, it will distract you. And I thought I could handle it pretty good, but still, if your phone is even on the other side of the table and you look at it, it's on your mind, and before you know it, it's in your hand and you're distracted for half an hour. It's just the way it is. So what I did is, if I had scheduled for myself, okay, these 3 hours I'm gonna work and I'm gonna write and I need my focus, I put my phone in another room. It sounds very childish if you say it like that, but it really works because you don't see it and it really helps focusing. So put it away, out of sight, out of mind.
I mean, back when I used to do some of my assignments when I was a kid, what my parents would do is, they would take all of my electronics or the things that I wouldn't like, they would say was a distraction, they would just put it outside, and you're like, you're going to finish this off, then you can go outside, go out of your room, and then start doing anything. And that really helped me focus, So it's like, well, I've got nothing better to do, so, let's get started and actually wrap this up so I can get around to doing the stuff I actually want to do.
Yeah, and then
teach yourself, don't open Facebook, don't open WhatsApp up your laptop. Just pick 3 hours, 2 hours, even 1 hour, and just focus.
You know, put some time into it. You can make time for something, and then go for it, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Another tip that I have is don't push yourself. We already talked about it, but this is, I mean this one in a different way. Because sometimes and some days you notice it just doesn't work. You just doesn't work. It's not your day. Then I think for me it really helped to realize, okay, it's not gonna work. I'm gonna give myself some time to relax, put my mind on something else, and then tomorrow start again, start fresh. If you are in the right mindset, you are able to do the same amount of work just in 1 hour, which can take you a whole night when you're not in the right mindset. Mm-hmm. So if you're not in the right mindset, just realize and give yourself some slack. Cut yourself some slack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't. It's just important to
exactly.
Yeah, like find out when you are most productive and find out at what moments you should cut yourself some slack.
Don't push yourself too much, and just, I guess, most importantly, have fun with the process, right?
Exactly.
I mean, it's the last one it's the last big project you're going to do as a bachelor student in at the University of Amsterdam. So you might as well enjoy it and have fun with it, and try to pass it.
Exactly. Just try to pass it. Yeah, I have one last tip for you then. Yeah. And for other people as well, maybe. But you are not obligated to do your thesis at the end. You can, because I choose to do it at the beginning of the year, and now I'm finishing my last electives, just because I preferred to get my thesis, get over with it, and then finish the last details of my study.
I mean, I guess it's when you get the hard part done, the rest of it just feels a little bit more of like a nice easy stroll, nice cake. No, I wouldn't say a cakewalk. That's not being very respectful to the subjects. But it's comparatively a lot less stressful, I guess you could.
Maybe. Yeah, for sure. So if you prefer to do it earlier, you can.
There we go. The one and only. Anyway, thank you so much. Thank you.